Well, the latest edition in a series of books exploring how to improve our city's infrastructure is set to launch. The City Project is exploring a wide range of ideas on how to better design a city, specifically this city. And this can include infrastructure spending or, in the case of the City Project's latest title, active transportation. The book is called That'll Never Work Here, challenging the myths around biking in a winter city. Its author, the described Bicycle Mayor of Winnipeg, at least for a time, Patty Wiens, joins us in the classic 107 airwaves to tell us a little bit more. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, it's not often that I get the chance to speak with somebody who has been given the title Bicycle Mayor of Winnipeg. I would
Right. Well, I'm the
yeah.
first one, so
Well, there we go. So, but even before we get into this book here, maybe you can tell us a bit about that title and how you came across it.
sure. So that title has to be given by an organization called bikes.org, BYCS.org. And you have to apply for it. You have to be a bike advocate. You have to send in a resume and an essay on why you should be the bicycle mayor. And then there's an interview process. It's a network of over 200 bicycle mayors from all over the world. And we meet regularly. We talk about strategy for advocacy and just try to connect with people all over the world to see what's working somewhere else that can definitely work here.
Okay, now that advocacy of yours started some years ago, and I understand with just one bike ride that you took on one winter day. What was that first winter bike ride experience like for you, and maybe what inspired you to do it in the first place?
Well, I'm not going to spoil the whole book, but
Good for you.
the idea was I loved riding my bike to commute because one, I was saving a lot of money, not having to spend $200 parking downtown. And my car started just sitting on my driveway for long periods of time. And when I decided that I took that one ride in winter because my partner Ian said, maybe you don't have to stop. There's people who do this. And I said, oh, but I'm Brazilian. I'm 50 years old. Like, come on, I'm not going to start now. And then I did one day and I realized that it gave me a superpower that sort of came from inside and I felt invincible. And then I thought, okay, if I can do this, then why can't everyone? Why can't most people at least try? We're all Winnipeggers. Winnipeggers have this idea that we're tough and we can handle winter. So why do we put our bikes away when Thanksgiving comes around?
We're leaning into this idea that Winnipeggers are tough and that they're able to slog it out if we just give it the chance. At the same time, I'm sure that you've run across this person as well, and I'm sure that they're listening this morning when they hear the term winter cycling, they go, not for me, that's too crazy, it's not safe, it's too cold, any number of excuses. What are maybe some common misconceptions that you run into about the sustainability and the practice of biking in the wintertime that you have to then address?
One of the things that I found out is that people here, they don't say they don't want to ride in winter because they're cold. They don't want to do it because they don't feel safe. That's number one. They don't feel safe. They feel like they're going to slide, like drivers aren't going to be respectful. And they are right. That is the number one reason that you should feel like maybe it's not for you. But that's where our city comes in. And infrastructure can be built for winter cycling, for year-round cycling is the way that we have to look at it. And to be quite honest with you, credit where it's due, the Department of Public Works has really improved their winter clearing of protected infrastructure and made it a lot easier for people to cycle in winter. So I really say to people, look, it doesn't have to be every day. It's not all or nothing. Even if you wait a couple of days after the snow falls so that the roads are a little bit drier and have been cleared, just try it one time. Try it for 1 block, 2 blocks. Go to the grocery store. Just give it a try. You don't know, but it might change your life forever.
So there is a spillover effect that then happens when there's this safe way to navigate winter cycling here in this city. And actually, the book puts forward this idea that active transportation year-round makes a city more safe writ large and also a more equitable place. How have you seen that manifest in your work and in your advocacy?
I noticed that a lot more people are doing it. And the way that it makes it more equitable is that you don't, a lot of people complain about the cost of living, right? And if you use your bike, you're saving so much money. All of a sudden, you're going to notice that you have a little bit extra money to maybe go out for dinner, or your bills are not feeling so overwhelming. And that is the first thing that you're going to notice. The second thing that is kind of like the surprise is your mental health. Your winter is going to be better. So that makes it automatically more equitable. But the thing that you might not realize as a driver is that the more people that choose to ride a bike, the less drivers you're going to have in your way on your way to work.
Okay. So you mentioned the shout out that you gave to the city of Winnipeg for being more active about cleaning and maintaining those active transportation routes. And there are more and more of them that are becoming part of the city's infrastructure. That said, maybe what are some ways that somebody reading this book, reading other books in the City Project could see your message and your advocacy and say, this is how we could better design a city to better incorporate active transportation routes?
Well, I'm really hoping that people who read this book can go, oh, I heard about this project that the city is proposing in, Provencher. That's a classic example. And I talk about Provencher a lot. If they'll read the book and go, oh, I heard that this is coming. I'm going to go speak at City Hall because the more people that ride bikes, the less they're in my way. Oh, I heard that bike lanes are better for business. If you look at Portage Avenue right now, it feels so desolated because a lot of the businesses have closed. Do you think that maybe it's because we have 4 lanes of traffic, of car traffic, and makes it very unsafe for pedestrians and cyclists, right? Think about the Forks. It's so approachable by bike. There's always people walking around. It always feels busy, right? So that's what I want people to think about, is maybe a little friendlier for not cars, for vulnerable road users, is a better thing for the whole city. And maybe go speak at City Hall. Maybe tell your councilor, I am for this project. This bike lane they want on Henderson Highway, that's a good idea. The bike lane on Provencher, that's a good idea. It's going to make my commute better.
It's interesting to hear you touch on all these different parts of Winnipeg that can benefit from active transportation as well. You've come into contact with a vast range of communities in your work advocating for active transportation. In addition to writing this book, you also have a podcast that promotes active transportation, bettering community life. And we'll link to that at our website and on the Classic 107 app a little bit later on today. But for now, as you've been writing this book and as you've been hosting this podcast, what are some of the conversations that you've had about active transportation, and how have they maybe broadened your understanding of how to implement active transportation and the impact that it has on different communities?
One of the things that became really clear was that the active transportation highly benefits women. And women are often sort of the second-class citizens in general. Now, add a woman on a bike and you really become sort of marginalized. Active transportation makes women's trips easier. Women don't have sort of a linear trajectory on their way, on their everyday lives. The truth is, no matter how we improve society, we modernize it, it still falls on a woman to do a lot of the work of dropping off the kids, picking up the groceries. We don't travel, we call it trip chaining, where we go from one place to another. And when active transportation is a little more friendly for that last little mile, neighborhood greenways, the calmed streets, the 30-kilometer zones are so important for women to travel and drop off the kids. Women are a lot of the time, the caregivers of the kids and of their parents as well. So making that last mile friendly to women is really important. So that's one thing that I found out in sort of writing this book, putting all my thoughts down on paper. It really became clear that we need to hear what women are saying. We need to hear what people who are not driving are saying. And a lot of the times that is women, and it's always been women. And if you prioritize that, everything else falls into place because it makes it easier for the rest of society to function. Women make up half of the population. But if you think about the women as the caregivers for the kids and for their parents, that's 2/3 of the population right there that needs to be looked after. So that's one thing. And that's what inspired me to start having these conversations on my podcast called That's Her Problem, talking to women only about their experiences in creating their communities. And it's not our fault that the bike ends up being the answer to so many problems in life and in society.
At the same time as we have people listening that might be a little bit wary or skeptical of active transportation, there's probably somebody out there right now thinking, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can make this a part of my life, but maybe they don't quite know how to implement active transportation into their daily life. What would your advice be for somebody who's just getting into this idea of year-round cycling here in Winnipeg?
In Winnipeg, we have a not-for-profit organization called Bike Winnipeg. And it's an advocacy group that sort of works on both sides, of the side of going to City Hall and advocating for more protected infrastructure, and also educating the general public on how to get around their neighborhoods. We have a lot of group rides. I'm on the board of Bike Winnipeg. And it's a great community to connect with so that you start learning how to get around your neighborhood. There's a lot of supports there. So that's number one. Get connected with Bike Winnipeg. There's a very accessible membership option. And even if you're not a member, you're still invited to all the group rides. They're all free. And number two, start small. It's not all or nothing. One of the guests on my podcast started riding her bike to work because she was constantly getting passed by bikes on her way to work as she was stuck in gridlock. So next time you're sitting in gridlock and you see the bikes passing, you think, oh, if they can ride here, maybe I can ride here and I would have more fun going home and I would be home faster. I cannot tell you, during school pickup time, I passed dozens of drivers stuck on Westminster. And I'm thinking, there is a better way. So just think outside the car for a minute. There is a better way. Start small. Just get that bike off the rafters and get going.
I love this image of thinking outside the box by thinking outside the car here on this morning. We have this book available for pre-order now. That'll Never Work Here, Challenging the Myths Around Biking in a Winter City. We will have all the information for you to do that at our website, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app. Patty Wiens, thank you so much for telling us more about your book and about active transportation here in Winnipeg.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see you around.